Okay, so I'm Chip Tyson. I'm the Emergency Preparedness Manager here at North Fulton Medical Center. What I'm going to start out with is just going over the presentation that I do every week for our orientation class. This is required for all new employees here at the hospital to be familiar with our emergency preparedness program. There's two committees or commissions that oversee hospital regulation. That's the Joint Commission and CMS, which visit us on a regular basis. We get an official visit every 3 years. Sometimes they show up unannounced, but one of the things they love to ask the employees about is the emergency preparedness program, because priority number one here is to keep our staff, our patients and visitors safe, and to protect our facility, because obviously if our facility is compromised, that compromises our ability to serve our community. So I'm going to introduce you to our emergency preparedness program here. So emergency preparedness has three priorities. That's to save lives, prevent injuries, and protect our property. First and foremost, to save lives, prevent any injuries or further injuries in the event that we have a situation here, whether it were a fire, heaven forbid an active shooter, severe weather event, something like that. And like I just said, protect our property, because our physical facility, if it gets significantly damaged or compromised, heaven forbid we have to evacuate and move out if we had a major structural failure or a fire, then we've got 250 patients that we've got to relocate. That's not an easy task, because all the hospitals in the metro Atlanta area stay full. So literally we'd be sending one patient to one hospital, three patients to another hospital. If we had to evacuate this facility, we'd probably end up sending patients to Augusta, Birmingham, Chattanooga, because like I said, all the hospitals are already full. So emergency preparedness at Wellstar and North Fulton is a year-round proposition. Next month, I'm going to have a meeting that will have 40 or 60 people present. And what we do is we rank order what are the highest threats to our facility. Those top 5 or 6 threats that we identify become my marching orders for the next year for the teaching and training that I do for our staff, in order to be able to prepare for and handle anything that we get presented with. What do you guys think the number one threat to healthcare is? Healthcare as a whole, not just Wellstar, but Northside, Piedmont, any hospital system. What do you think the number one threat would be?
Mass casualties getting too full.
Patient surge is a good one, yes. And we're about to go into surge season with respiratory season and flu season and everything happening. What else?
Natural disasters, any weather event.
Those are big ones too, and on the list. Do you remember what happened July 14th of 2024? Worldwide event. Microsoft update that went horribly wrong. CrowdStrike. Remember CrowdStrike? No? No. All right, so Microsoft last July of 24, did an update that did not work good. Matter of fact, it was catastrophic. Every computer in this hospital went to a blue screen, and not just us. Worldwide industry, Delta Airlines, American Airlines, Southwest, flights were grounded, air traffic control system went down. With a healthcare system, we couldn't access patient records. We couldn't order stuff from the lab. Our radiologists are off site. We couldn't send images to the radiologist for the radiologist to read. We had to get them to come on site. We couldn't access any patient records. We had to postpone surgeries. We had to reschedule surgeries. I don't want to say it shut the hospital down, but we really went back to pen and paper documentation, because every computer in the hospital and system-wide for Wellstar, we got 12 hospitals in the state, went to a blue screen. And our IT team had to physically go to every single laptop and every single computer to fix the problem that was in there. So CrowdStrike was a worldwide event. My son-in-law works for Delta Airlines. It took Delta 2.5 weeks to get back on track after CrowdStrike, to get their equipment, the aircraft matched up with crews, get back on schedule. It was, like I said, it wasn't just healthcare, it was a worldwide shutdown of the IT for a while, affected banks, investment agencies, the whole 9 yards. So, all that to say, the number one threat to healthcare is cyber attacks. Because if you think about it, Wellstar, we've got 12 hospitals. We've got the personal information of hundreds of thousands of people. So people that are up to no good, people into identity theft and everything, if they could get their hands on that information, they would have one heck of a payday. So believe it or not, in addition to Mass casualty situations, severe weather events. Last year we were in the crosshairs for the hurricane that fortunately dodged to our east. Not good for Augusta, but good for us. But while those are significant threats that we have to prepare for, the number one thing we have to prepare for is cyber attacks. So a lot of people don't think of that because you think of fire, you think of flood, you think of a F5 tornado coming through here and destroying the hospital, but it's actually cyber attacks. Make sure I didn't miss that. So what we do in that meeting is we identify and prioritize the potential risks and threats to our facility. We prepare our facilities through fire drills and anything else that would cause us to get thrown off our normal cadence, mass casualty drills. Last week I did an infant abduction drill. We have a big women's health unit here at the hospital, and you can imagine if we ever had a baby stolen from this hospital, talk about making the news for all the wrong reasons. That would be catastrophic, right? So we actually did an infant abduction drill last week for the day shift, and we have day and night shifts here at the hospitals because we operate 24/7. So in a few weeks, we'll be doing that same drill with the night shift. But we also do fire drills quarterly for all different shifts and all of our different properties, in addition to a lot of other teaching and training that we do. My job is to train the staff in the effective response to those situations, even if it's like an evacuation. And as emergency preparedness manager, my role is I'm the liaison between the hospital and the outside agencies if we have a big incident. Last night with the fire in the lab, I was liaison between the hospital and the Roswell Fire Department and Roswell Police Department. So, emergency preparedness. Throughout the hospital, we've got these red books located in a lot of the elevator lobbies and on the floors. What I ask all of our employees to do is this. Two things. Number one, when they get to their unit, find this book, because this is a good cheat sheet for when the Joint Commissioner CMS comes and talks to our staff, because they love to talk to the boots on the ground, the staff that are patient facing about our emergency policies and procedures. So the first thing I ask them to do is please find this book, know where it is, because the good news is when Joint Commission comes, they don't have to know the answers to all the questions, but they need to know where to get that information. This is one of those places. The second thing I ask them, believe it or not, open it up, look inside it, okay? Look in it and know what's in here. This covers our incident command system, covers what we do in the event of a fire, hazardous material spill, heaven forbid an abducted infant. This day and age, we have to talk about active shooter situations too, right? So we talk about emergency egress, our evade, run, hide, fight in the case of an active shooter. So a lot of information in here. I ask them to sit down, take their first couple breaks, thumb through here, because it's a good cheat sheet for them. And it's a good overview of the emergency preparedness program. The other place they can find emergency preparedness information is what we call our Wellsource, where they can click on emergency preparedness, click on our specific hospital, and there's all the information about what we do to deal with any situation, whether it's a mass casualty, patient surge, since we're going into surge season again, also covers our hazardous materials spills, abducted infant, violent individuals that we have to train and deal with nowadays as well. So those are their two of their three sources of information. And I always ask them the question, you've got your emergency preparedness manual, you've got eSource. So I always ask them the question, what do you think your third source of information related to our program is? Me, your emergency preparedness manager. So I always tell them if the Joint Commission asks them a really good question and they can't find the answer in here or on eSource, I tell them to always flatter them. Tell them, you know what, that's an excellent question. And I don't know the answer, but I'm gonna get with Chip and I'll get back with you. So that's what I tell them. So that's how we cover our emergency preparedness procedures. So how does emergency preparedness impact our staff? Several ways. First of all, if we have a mass casualty situation or like the lab fire that we had last night, there's obviously a need for an emergent response. Staff might be repositioned to different areas of the hospital to accommodate that. In the case of a mass casualty, we might set up a triage area outside on the helipad. We might have multiple helicopters come in and we might need people to set up cones and block Highway 9 if we got 3 or 4 helicopters coming in because we've only got 2 helipads. So their role might change in the event of emergency. And our hospital too might have to change its cadence. When we had the mass casualty situation earlier this year that I mentioned to you, when we got 10 serious patients, as a trauma center, we always have 1 operating room available for a trauma patient. Well, that morning we received 10. A lot of them had orthopedic injuries and needed surgery, so we put all of our scheduled surgeries on hold to keep all 10 of our operating rooms available until we got the patients here. saw how emergent their situation was and if they needed to be operated on or not. So their role in an emergency, safety first. I always preach, I get in trouble for this because I say, no, first and foremost is our safety. Our leadership always says it's the safety of our patients, but if we're not safe, we can't keep our patients safe, right? So staff's safety is most important, next that of our patients and our visitors. And every department has specific tasks that they have to do. We actually have a fire brigade here in the hospital, so if the fire alarm goes off, some people are supposed to be closing patient doors, other people may be relocating patients if the threat is close to the patient, or some people, believe it or not, they head to where the fires were located. We have code red, which is the universal code for a fire, so they overhead page where the fire is, and some of the staff actually head to that location, get a fire extinguisher on the way to help hopefully extinguish the fire while we wait for the fire department to get here. But everybody has specific roles. They find out that when they get onboarded. We also talk about evacuation. 3 types of evacuation being horizontal, vertical, and total. Horizontal evacuation is just moving patients from one side of the floor to the other. That's if we were to have like a significant power failure or lost our med gases on one wing, we could move the patients. Obviously vertical evacuation, we're moving the patients up or down if we have to shut down an entire floor. And heaven forbid a total evacuation, it's moving day. We're moving out, and that's gonna be all hands on deck with us, Roswell and Alpharetta Fire Department, Sandy Springs. We'll probably be calling Fulton County Emergency Management because again, if we had to vacate this entire hospital for whatever reason, that would be a major undertaking. That they get on their own board, that's some of our stuff that you guys really don't, that's some of our clinical stuff. The last thing I talked to our staff about is our alert media platform. Our alert media platform is our emergency communication platform that we use here in the hospital. For most people, that would obviously be something of significance that they would need to know about. I always tell the staff, if you're out walking on our trail and we have an active shooter in the building, that's probably information you want to know. You don't want to come back inside, right? If we have a fire in the building, if we get put under a tornado warning, even though we have an overhead paging system, you can't always hear it in all areas of the hospital due to the noise, or if we have a speaker that's not working that we don't know about yet. So we use this platform to send out emergency communications, and we also use it to send out stuff to our trauma teams, our neurosurgical teams, and things like that. So that's my emergency preparedness spiel that I do